Hi guys, I'm Allison from Daisy Lean Design, and today I'm going to be showing you a special behind the scenes video of a bag repair that I've been working on for the past month or so. And it just happens to include an interior zipped pocket, and I thought now would be a great time to show you how I do that and just the step-by-step process in case it's something you ever wanted to try yourself. So come on over to the work table and we'll get started on that. A flush zipped pocket is understandably an intimidating technique to learn for many people. But once you realize it's just two rectangles sewn together that sit between the interior layer of your bag and the exterior layer of your bag, then it just becomes a matter of a little bit of math and practice to get the how to do it of it all down. I first learned from Lisa Lam, who has an excellent bag making book called The Bag Making Bible. I'll go ahead and link that below in the show notes for you. It's full of everything you need to know to make any kind of bag. For this technique, you will need one piece of your bag's interior, usually the side that will sit along the bag's back edge, a zipper, and your two cut pocket pieces. Also gather up a sewer's gauge, pins, and something to mark your work. Your pocket pieces should measure at least 2 inches smaller than your bag's width, and the zipper should be 2 inches smaller than that. I'll go ahead and list the dimensions that I used below, but it's basically so that you have clearance all the way around each of your pieces there. Step 1 will be to measure and mark 2 inches down from the top of your bag. I usually make 3 marks across the bag, kind of eyeballing where I think the pocket piece will eventually lie. Next, I'm going to place one of my pocket pieces, which is interfaced, right sides together with the bag piece. I'm lining up the center creases and putting the raw edge of my pocket up on the 2-inch marks that I just made. I make my center creases with an iron. I do that both on the bag interior piece and the pocket piece. And then I go ahead and pin my layers together. This will keep everything in place while we sew. Next, I use my gauge to mark 1 inch down from the raw edge of the pocket piece. Again, I'm going to make 3 marks at about an eyeball's width of the zipper. I'm using a pencil so I can make a dark mark, but usually I'd use a disappearing ink pen. Next, you need to take a look at your zipper. This is a 7-inch zipper. That means from the pull to the stop is 7 inches. We will wind up sewing about 1/4 of an inch to the outside of that on either side, meaning we need a 7.5-inch opening for our zip. So from the center of our work, we need to measure 3.75 inches, or 1/2 of the 7.5 in each direction. So I'm going to just take my gauge and make a mark at 3.75 on either side of my center mark. Using the 3 horizontal marks as a guide and a straight edge, I'll draw a line from one vertical mark to the other. Then I'll use my gauge to make a 1 centimeter line on each end. I'll use my straight edge once again to connect the bottoms of the 2 lines. The result is a long, skinny rectangle. From each short end of the rectangle, I make a little triangle shape to the inside. And I use my straight edge to draw a line between these 2 points of the triangles. That line should be centered in the middle of the rectangle. And then I'll take the whole unit to the sewing machine to sew around the rectangle. I've used dark thread to show you where I've stitched. I did not sew it all on the triangles or the center line. I'm going to use a seam ripper to poke a hole right where the triangle tip meets the center line, and I'll cut a little of that line to get a pair of scissors in there. I'll use the scissors to cut the center line through all of my layers from one triangle tip to the other. Then I'll cut from the triangle tip to the corner of the rectangle, being careful to get as close as I can to the corner without cutting through any rectangle stitches. This is the part that requires a little bit of practice. I'll repeat this for the other 3 corners. Now I can remove my pins, snip any threads, and push my first pocket piece from the right side of my bag's interior to the wrong side. You'll push both the larger side of your pocket and the small side at the top. Take some time here to do some careful ironing. Depending on how close you cut to the corners of the rectangle, there might be some puckering in the corners. Try to iron it as flat as you can, and if it's very puckered, you might need to go back, flip things around, and do an extra snip or 2. Once you're happy with the way it looks, go ahead and grab your zipper. Make sure that the pull is facing the right direction, that it doesn't get caught underneath that fabric there in the corner. And then you can go ahead and pin your zipper into place. You're going to want everything centered, like the teeth of the zipper and the pull and the end piece of your zipper. And then you're going to stitch around the whole rectangle of the zipper at about 1/4 of an inch away from the opening. Once you have that all done, your zipper is secured and you're ready for the back piece of your pocket. Grab your second pocket piece. I am reusing the pocket piece from the original bag since it has this cute interior. The interfacing is a little pilly, but it's just fine. So I'm just going to pin my second pocket piece to my first pocket piece that has the zipper in it all the way around that rectangle. And now I have to sew these 2 pocket pieces together all the way around, down one side, the bottom up, and also that top. And since it's obscured by our fabric, we're going to take this over to the machine together. So I'm taking my pocket pieces and peeling away the interior bag piece from my bag so that only my pocket pieces are in my machine. And I'll start in that bottom right lower corner of the pocket piece and sew all the way along the bottom and then up that first side. Then as I come close to the top where all my zipper and everything is, I'm just going to take some time to be careful to move my interior bag piece out of the way. Go slow at this point, take your time. You'll pivot around to the top and again, sweep the interior bag pieces out of your way. You might notice that some of this raw edge at the top, they don't match exactly right because you've cut into and then ironed through that one pocket piece. It is very slightly smaller than my back pocket piece, but as long as everything's caught in those seam allowances, it'll be just fine. Once you've cleared that top, go down your last side, again, making sure that you're clearing all of your bag pieces out of the way. And here you have it, a completed pocket sewn into one side of the interior of a bag. Now you're ready to put the rest of your bag together. Great job, guys. Well, that was a lot of information squished into 10 minutes, but I hope it gives you a good visual about how I install a flushed zipped pocket. Remember that the video can be paused at any time so that you can work through a certain section or two. And I also have linked the book that I talked about, The Bag Making Bible by Lisa Lam. I'll put a link down below so that you can see it. No affiliate, no, I'm not paid for any of that. I think you're supposed to say that. I just really like it and I wanted to pass that along to you. And the zipper section can be found in chapter 4, should you ever get a hold of that. As always, thank you so much for being here. If you like what you see, I would love it if you would subscribe, share with somebody, or even just leave me a comment down below so that I know that you've been here, and especially if you've tried any of the tips that you've seen on the channel. There's also a link to my Ko-Fi down below if you feel like buying me a cup of coffee, virtually of course. And I think that's it. I will be back next time, but I hope you like this little behind the scenes about what's going on at Daisy Lean Design. And I hope you have a great week. Take care, everybody. Happy sewing.